A bank in South Korea just walked away from SWIFT and signed on with Ripple, and my read is that it's only the third most interesting thing that happened on the XRP Ledger this week. This is your XRP news desk, because underneath that headline, something much stronger has been running. More than 2 million payments, logged in about a month, sent by nobody, no people, machines, autonomous AI agents paying each other for work, invoice after invoice, around the clock, and the grand total those 2 million payments moved was $7,400, not $7.4 billion, not even $7.4 million, $7,400, roughly the price of a used car. And behind both of those stories sits a third one, an ex-Ripple engineer teasing a secret project on RLUSD rails with a yield claim that made me stop and read it twice. He's half promised the full reveal in the first half of September, so we'll get to him before we're done. So here's how I want you to sort today, because these three stories are really one story wearing three different coats. There's adoption you're about to read, there's adoption you can count, and there's adoption that's still a promise. Paper, ledger, promise. 3 steps on one ladder, and once that ladder is in your head, I think every adoption headline you meet this year gets easier to weigh. Let's start with the paper, because the paper is real. Jeonbuk Bank, a regional bank in South Korea, announced on August 18th that it's dropping the SWIFT network and adopting Ripple Payments to move money across borders. That makes it the first regional Korean bank to use Ripple Payments for cross-border transfers. And it makes this Ripple's third Korean partnership this year. Third, same year, same country. Kbank came first, Korea's first internet-only bank, taking Ripple custody technology to stand up digital asset wallets. Kyobo Life Insurance followed in April, a life insurer testing blockchain infrastructure to cut settlement times. And now a bank has taken actual cross-border payments off the old rails entirely. So what does Jeonbuk get out of this? Ripple Payment ties a network of payment partners and payment rails to a blockchain, and the practical difference is hours. It runs 24/7. It can source liquidity outside normal banking hours, which is desk language for the money doesn't stop moving when the banks lock their doors. And Ripple's Asia Pacific setup already supports payouts in Korean won, so this isn't Ripple parachuting into a market it never built. The plumbing was already laid, the bank just plugged into it. And if a desk that reads the ledger before it reads the headline sounds useful, subscribe is how you get one every day. Now here's the part I need you to hear, because this desk doesn't do half a story. Does the announcement say XRP settles Jeonbuk transfers? It does not. Ripple folded RLUSD, its regulated dollar stablecoin, into Ripple Payments back in 2025. So more than one asset can ride that rail. And until settlement data shows up, the straightest answer on what's carrying Jeonbuk's money is we don't know yet. And the market seems to have heard it that way too, because the day the news made the rounds, XRP price slipped about 1%. And today it's sitting right around $1.01, up a little bit for the day. A bank dropped SWIFT for Ripple and the price yawned. Now hold on to that, because why it yawned is where this whole story is going. So that's the first step. Paper adoption, real, signed, meaningful, and completely invisible on the ledger today. You can read it, but you can't count it yet. Now climb down the step you can count, because it is the thing I found this week that genuinely rearranged how I think about this network. There's a public tracker, XRPL, counting payments made on the XRP ledger by autonomous AI agents, not people clicking buttons, software paying other software for work that it ordered. And that counter has now passed over 2 million transactions, and the whole marketplace showed up inside a single month. So who's actually in this machine market? The hub lists 141 verified merchants, services a machine can buy from, and more than half of all the traffic comes from just 2 of them. One is Heuris Mesh, a decentralized network selling NFT data for micropayments that start at 1/10 of a cent in RLUSD. The other is LucyOS, an operating environment where agents order token analysis to pay for it in XRP itself. And behind those two sit a long tail that honestly reads like science fiction. A meme generator taking RLUSD and USDC, a router for language models, an AI search chat, all billing machines, all getting paid on the ledger. Now, what does that one job cost? This is where it gets good. The average payment across the whole 2 million is 0.0035, a third of a cent. And that number is the entire reason this market lives on the XRP ledger and cannot live inside the ordinary financial system. Because if you pushed a third of a cent through the financial banking stack, the processing fees would eat the whole payment before it even landed. The toll costs us more than the cargo. On the XRPL network, the fee is fixed at about 0.0002, and the settlement lands in 3 to 5 seconds. So a machine can bill another machine for a third of a cent 1,000 times a day, and the numbers would still work. And before you ask, who lets the robots have these wallets? The spending sits under limits set by the human owners, including through integrations like MasterCard, verifiable intent. So the budgets are tiny and fenced. So what has this all done for the XRP asset? What did 2 million payments do to the price? Well, nothing. The honest answer is nothing. The value settled across the whole 2 million came to about $7,400, and the tracking report calls the real economics effect on the token 0. For machine traffic to move XRP economically, you do not need millions of payments. You need billions and eventually trillions. So why am I excited about $7,400? Because the argument just changed shape. For years, the case for this ledger was a brochure, a stack of claims about what it might carry one day. This is different. This is a live market where the buyer is a machine, the seller is a machine, and the rail got picked not out of loyalty, not for a press release, but because the ordinary system physically cannot clear a third of a cent without destroying it. Paper tells you intent. The ledger tells you the behavior. And in my book, behavior is the one thing a press release cannot fake. Tell me in the comments which one you think lands first. The machine's economic billionth payment or a Korean bank settling in XRP first. Now the third step, the promise. There's a former Ripple engineer who goes by Bias Goose, working these days at Walrus Protocol, a decentralized data storage project over in the Sui ecosystem. And since August, he's been dropping crumbs about a secret startup he's building on the XRP ledger. This week, he finally said the part that matters, and I'll give it to you word for word. We will make RLUSD great again. So the mystery project is built around Ripple's dollar stablecoin. That much is now confirmed. And past that, what does anyone actually know? Almost nothing, and I mean that literally. No name, no white paper, no registered company visible anywhere. He said it's being built with a closed-off corner off the traditional economy to bring real-world businesses on chain. No token of its own, no giveaways, no artificial incentives. And that's the line that made me sit up. He claims the yield from the real-world businesses will run several times higher than the US Treasuries and out-earn any other stablecoin on the market. That is an enormous claim, and right now, it is a claim wearing a promise, not a product, with a full presentation pledged for the first half of September. My read is put a pin in September and judge it the day the paper exists. And a nameless project with a giant yield number is the one you watch with your hands in your pockets. So stack the ladder back up. On the paper step, a Korean bank walked off swift, the third Korean name to sign with Ripple in a single year. On the ledger step, machines ran 2 million payments through the XRPL because nothing else could carry them. And on the third step, the promise step, an ex-Ripple builder picked RLUSD rails for whatever lands in September. 3 coats, 1 story, the pipes are being chosen. And the quiet numbers agree. The pool of stablecoins sitting on the XRPL crossed $1 billion this week by DeFi Llama's count, with more than $80 million of that arriving inside the week. A robotics firm called RAVN put its token on the ledger too, tokenized equity for a company building AI for drones and industrial robots. One more tenant picking this address. Now for the balance. The same report carried a humbling number. Just 0.16% of decentralized trades over the last 72 hours used XRP as a bridging asset. That's early, that's small, and I won't dress it up. And I'll own something while I'm still at it. I spent years reading every partnership headline as a price event, and I did it completely wrong because paper doesn't move on its own. Usage does, and usage is exactly what showed up in the unglamorous numbers today. So here's my read on the whole week, plain as I can make it. The price paid attention to none of this, and the ledger recorded all of it. And between those two, I know which one I'd rather stand on. Banks in Korea are picking the rail, and machines are already paying each other on it. Builders are choosing RLUSD on purpose. The loudest adoption story of 2026 isn't being announced, it's being logged. 1/3 of a cent invoice at a time. You know a holder who's worn out by the headlines and wants something he can finally count. Send him this video. Stack facts, not fear, and I'll see you in the next one.